Good afternoon. This is Cam from Nation Outside Seas of Change. Today I have a guest host. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Charles Pugh. I'm the Director of Development with Nation Outside. Excited
And
to be here for this discussion.
and today's guest is
Rick Speck, Deputy Director at Nation Outside, former board member, proud supporter for the last 8 years.
all right. So we in Second Chance Month, and I feel it's important to have a conversation about second chances. Especially with you, Rick. I'm gonna give you the floor to tell the story.
I mean, the irony is yesterday I was at Egler Correctional Facility, right, which is now RG&C. But 30 plus years ago, in the early 90s, it was a level 2, a secure level 2. And I was there for like 2.5 years. That's where I started my first bid at. So to be there yesterday speaking to men that are now at RG&C, that was like a full circle moment to a certain degree.
What was that like?
It was really kind of eerie at times.
Yeah.
Walking through, looking at the blocks, looking over at 2 block. Then walking through the school, the admin building. It was just, it was tripped out. It was where my first child, I held her in the visiting room. My mom used to bring her to see me. That was back when, the visiting rules weren't so crazy and all the restrictions like today. So it was a full circle moment to be able to share my story there yesterday with those men. But really, like I said, I got out then, did good for a while, but ultimately made some poor choices, right? Really hadn't healed with the trauma. So when I look back, that's what informed a lot of the decisions I made. Was reincarcerated probably only after 18 months, but I had violated multiple times, so I went back. When I came out of the Fed system for that violation, that was the first time in 10 years I had been free from supervision and, since I was 18. And that lasted 10 months before I committed the crime, which I served 15 years for. And so, I'm happy to say that next month I'll be celebrating 12 years of freedom, completed the parole, no violations.
Only 12?
That's it. That's it. Right? Almost as long as I've been in. I can't wait for that day to come. But, honestly, when I look back, I needed 3 and 4 chances. So it was more than a second chance, right? And it wasn't the length of time that created the change. It was, it was an opportunity to be my best self. So when I think of second chances, yeah, some people definitely need a second chance, but some people need a third and a fourth. At least in my life, that's what I needed, right? And so then when I came home this last time, again, second chances, as Have Stance would have it, you and I created a nonprofit, worked with youth, trying to give back to the community, trying to add value. Till we were kicked out of Detroit public schools, right? And that was crazy. We were literally kicked out of a volunteer gig because schools wanted to start contracting with us, right?
Okay.
And then if we're just calling it what it was, the Detroit Public School Police Department had an issue with that, right? And they all of a sudden ran background checks, and clearly you got 3 guys on, 3 guys on parole, right? 3 out of 3 for violent crimes, right? Armed robbery, multiple armed robberies, and a second-degree murder charge, right? Okay. So all of a sudden we weren't fit to work with youth, although we were creating change with these young people.
Of course you were.
Through fitness programs, through chess programs,
Yeah.
Just getting in there, having conversation, creating space to just allow these young men to talk.
Yep.
Right? And
You were the perfect men to do that. with those kids?
We did get an opportunity at River Rouge to partake and hang out with the kids.
Yeah, we had a contract with River Rouge Middle School for a year there. And really, like, they had this detention room, right? You know, talk about second chances. You're sending kids to this detention room. They got desks facing the wall, right? So this is what, no, we, it was just dreary and drab. So, you know, we do painting. So we painted the classroom. We brought this executive conference room table in there with these leather conference chairs, and was like, that's when you come to detention, this is where you're going to do your work at. And so all of a sudden, like, you know, we garnered results. We had some really cool stuff we did. We brought T Grizzly.
Wow.
We brought T Grizzly to their gym. That thing was popping that day.
Oh, yeah.
For my youngest daughter, that was the first time she
cool.
showed a interest in like the work that her dad does, right? Like, we would talk about it, and she always kind of wondered and couldn't really conceptualize it always. But when I said, you know, the project we had at the middle school, we were bringing T Grizzly, she was like, oh, I want to go.
Right.
Yeah, he was cool then.
So that was cool.
Let's talk about. So I saw you tell the next part of your story inside of, I forget what prison we were in. We were there. I was there on behalf of Nation Outside, along with a colleague, to, you know, talk about the resources that we have available for them once people come home. And I think Cam was there too, but you were there with another organization at the time. But I heard you tell your story about what happened to your family once you came home. Mm-hmm. Do you mind talking a little bit about that and the important decision that you made?
Yeah, no, I can talk about that. So, you know, as Cam and I were discussing earlier, there was luck that we started and, you know, worked with youth and eventually men coming home from prison. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that, I don't know, a few years after that, I went to the ACLU of Michigan, and I was doing a lot of campaign work behind Smart Justice.
Okay.
Right? And, you know, we were also, you know, there was a lot of conversation back then, too, about life without parole, right? Folks serving life without parole and how that needed to be abolished. And, you know, considering I know and have, you know, many friends, unfortunately, that were convicted of a homicide, right? Mm-hmm. For taking the life of another, whether it's first degree, second degree, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. You know, I had all these interactions with these men, both inside and out, right? Mm-hmm. So I know who they are as people. And so it was easy for me to get behind that and be a supporter and be an ally, because even though I wasn't ever directly affected by life, you know, serving life. And so it was actually during that time where my oldest child was dating a guy who's in the streets, and was at his house one evening, and somebody came over, an argument breaks out, he shoots the boyfriend runs, that individual later shoots and kills my daughter. Wow. Right, and that was in River Rouge. So, you know, we find out what is kind of going on through a lot of our own investigating. If we're just being honest and calling it what it is, you know, I don't feel that the police really did their due diligence. I don't think they handled the case with care, because, you know, the boyfriend was in the street. So for face value, it probably just looked drug related to a certain degree, right? You know, later a witness came forward that was present during all those series of events and agreed to testify against the individual. Again, you know, during this time, though, for me and my family, you know, we didn't have answers, and we're looking for those answers. And, of course, like anybody, I was angry, right? For I don't know how many weeks after that event, I didn't have any alone time.
Yeah.
I had somebody, Cam was there, Mario, like I had a lot of people around me, my brothers, you know, siblings, my sister, they were all, somebody was always with me. And I don't think I understood at the time.
Cause you crazy, man.
that they were worried how would I respond to
They were
this,
trying
right?
to protect you.
And you know, from somebody that's been in the streets as well, yeah, I mean a lot of those thoughts came back.
To retaliate.
Yeah, 100% vengeance, right? And then when the person was arrested, I think what really challenged my values was I wanted life without parole. Like, if we're being honest, I wanted life without parole. I didn't ever want that person to see daylight again, right? And so now we're left to watch the system play itself out, right? And the trial and what a fiasco that was, and literally watching a juror sleep during the trial.
Wow.
Right? The judge had to admonish him, and then for the jury to come back with a not guilty verdict for the murder, but guilty for gun charges, was just, It was like, wow, I let the system play itself out. I put the trust in the same system that prosecuted me successfully multiple times, right? Fail us. Fail my family, fail me, fail the community. I believe it was shoddy investigative work. I believe it was not the greatest prosecution, evidence that they put forth and strategy. I do believe there was enough presented for that guilty verdict to still come in, but for whatever reason, it didn't, right? And so then, during this time, though, leading up to it, of course, I wanted vengeance. And so before that person was arrested, but was known to me, I had to do some soul searching and decide that I want to give back everything that was given to me as far as my third or fourth chance, whatever it was, right? Creating a career, creating relationships in the community, creating a relationship with my kids finally.
Your family, yeah.
Right? Did I want to sacrifice all that? And to be honest, I was okay with it. I was willing to do whatever needed to be done. Because as I shared in that prison yesterday, I can do time. I did 18 and a half, 19 years. I mean, I lost count. I don't know, somewhere in there, right? I can do time. I did it. I just walked down 15 and I actually came out the best version of myself ever. So it wasn't, you know what I mean? It wasn't all that. But the thing that turned it around was, my daughter that, obviously I still have my youngest. She didn't want that. She didn't want that revenge at that cost, put it that way. And so that, that both felt good and terrible at the same time, right?
Do you ever regret your decision not to retaliate? When you look back, do you feel like, maybe you should have done it to avenge your daughter, or are you good with the decision that you made?
No, I'm actually good with the decision. I believe in what goes around comes around. That's real. Irony is if we pulled up this dude's Otis right now, I think he gets off parole next month, right? So he's been home all this time from on parole, and you know, if we're being honest, it was hard not to have somebody just reach out and say hello while he was in. just keeping it real.
I
Like,
get it.
you know, there was multiple facilities he was at where that wouldn't have been, you know, the hardest thing to do, right? You move around inside there for 15 years consecutively. You run into a few people. You make some friends, some bonds, right? And I had people actually reach out to me, and I was like, no, it's just not a part of the legacy. I think my daughter would want me to leave, right? You know, I do believe in karma, and I'm sure something will happen. But maybe this is a thing where that person turns their life around and does some good. I mean, I don't know, right? I haven't. You know, somebody asked me before, would I consider sitting down with them? And as much as I support and wholeheartedly believe in restorative justice and those practices, I don't know if I would be ready.
Yeah, that's tough.
For that
that's
conversation
a tough one.
right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I guess what I'd like to see is what this person does with their second chance. Right? This is their third. Well, actually, this is their third chance, right? Because they had been out before and completed a parole, and so I wonder often where that third chance for this person will lead. But I even had a family member once kind of come at me about supporting second chance as it relates to people that were sentenced to life or people that, you know, committed a homicide. And I still believe that, right? I believe that because of my lived experience, because of my interaction with both men and women that were convicted of taking a life, that are out here living life, making a change, keeping our community safer. I believe all people are redeemable,
right?
In most instances, right? I will say like 98%. We'll leave a 2% window,
right?
Right? Because I don't think there's an absolute there. Because some people, you know, I often say I'm not an abolitionist because I know there's some folks in there that I would never want to see as my neighbor. If we're just calling it what it is, if we're keeping conversation honest and real as can be, then that's, for me, that's my truth, right? That's just where I stand on things. But I don't believe if you take a life that you're not redeemable. Absolutely you are.
Yeah.
Absolutely you are. I mean, you know, we're coming off of Redemption Sunday, right? You want to talk about second chances for like, think about it. Think about who he chose to represent him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I've had several family members murdered, including my own mother. And I do believe in second chances. You know, now I wouldn't want to sit down with him and have a conversation with any of them, really. But I do wish them well in their lives and hope that they can turn it around for those who, because the one young man, he got like a 75-year sentence. This was back in 1987. So I don't even know the rules. I think they had good time back then. So I don't even know if the young man's out who killed my cousin. Right. But, you know, for those people who do come back to the community, you know, it's in our best interest that those people readjust and move forward with their lives as better people.
Yeah, no, I one of our first clients, I'm seeing him at DSDT the other day. Yeah, Walt did like
42.
Yeah, 42 years, right?
It's a long time.
No, 43. My bad. I don't want to take nothing away from him.
Right. Yeah, that's a long time. It's 4 decades.
Guy's been home about a decade, though.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Been home almost 10 years. Probably about 8 years, right?
No, he's been home about 10.
Yeah, coming up. 10. You know, I haven't seen him in years. Ran into him the other day, smiling, doing well for himself, out here still working. You know, guy's obviously in his 70s. Happy as can be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? you'd never know him from any other guy working security at a door, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Go
yeah.
figure, he works security.
What's crazy
40-some
is,
years. You think he knows a little something about security.
what's crazy is that particularly every holiday, he still texts me,
Me
wishing
too.
me whether it's Christmas,
Easter.
whatever
just
it
came,
is,
yeah.
he texts me wishing me a happy holidays to me and mine.
Yeah.
So, and was also he has no one.
Yeah.
So when we talk about second chances, we're talking about people getting the opportunity of a second life.
Yep.
And more so when second chances come along, they're actually taking a real chance on themselves.
That part.
Yeah.
That's what I don't necessarily consider we give ourselves 3 or 4 chances. The one real chance you actually take on to improve yourself, that's your second chance.
Yep.
Because everything else was a fluke.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I felt like I got free like 4 years, 3.5, 4 years before I actually physically walked out of prison.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Happens in your head first.
Yeah, like there was something that had changed, right? And Cam was with me during that time, and you know, we were teaching classes inside, and we were helping men understand how to resolve conflict peacefully, right? We became mediators, and really that's what led us to be here today, still doing this work. That's well, at least for me, right? I assume with Cam, because here we are, you know, 12 years later, since the release. I mean, we did this work on the inside for years together, on the daily, right? When Cam was just a wee young man.
Yeah, I was 21 when you first met me.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
me since I was a pup.
Look, he never talked. He became a member of the core group, right? We had a core group of 25 men that were training to become mediators and then train other men on the compound, right? Critical thinking, effective communication, all these different skills we needed. And Cam was, you know, he was with us, but he was just real quiet. And I was like the vice chairman of the group, but I was helping assemble, you know, the executive leadership team. And I said, we're going to have Cam as the comms director.
Okay.
Right? And they all looked at me. They said, you talk about the guy who ain't said
Who
a
doesn't
word
talk?
yet? Yeah, like that guy, the guy that don't talk. That's who's going to be the comms director.
Crazy is I actually had better communication skills than all of them.
Of course. Well, you
And
know,
I
you got to
was
learn to
youngest.
listen.
I was the youngest.
Yeah,
I just told him I didn't like
youngest.
to talk first. It's
Yeah.
better to be, sometimes it's better just to observe and listen.
Yeah.
You gain more knowledge that way.
Yeah, you learn the most that way. Yeah.
And then they don't think I know it all.
Yeah, he was definitely a learner then.
Because they did say
Because
that.
he didn't say nothing. He didn't say shit.
Before we wrap up, I want to ask what you want when you tell that story to people who are still incarcerated, or even, you know, people who are back home. What do you want them to take away? I know what I got from it, which was the power of a decision to do the right thing,
Yeah, power of choice,
the
right?
power of choice. But what do you want people to take from when you tell that story?
Well, I think there's probably multiple takeaways if you really think about it. I think the one thing I tried to really stress yesterday, and I shared that story with the men, just to value themselves, right? So I want people when they hear that just to understand the value of themselves in relation to me getting ready to take a step that you can't take a step back from. Right? Once it's done, it's done. There's no one doing it. There's no healing. There's no surviving. Right? So I wanted folks to take that away. I also wanted folks to take away that I'm not any less of a man because I didn't go do what I clearly could have did.
That part.
Right?
I actually take more out of you.
That's been the hardest thing in my life. Right?
Yeah.
Two hardest things I've ever endured is family reunification after a 15-year bit, trying to figure out my place in my family, right? As the oldest sibling, but as a sibling who's been gone, as a father, but as a father that's been gone, right? So I want folks to take away from that, but also I think for me, the irony lies in I know the harm that action caused my family.
That part,
right?
Yeah,
Even if that person isn't a good person,
right. He's got a family.
he's got a family. He
Yep.
has children.
Yep.
So what? Why would I want to
Mm-hmm.
further that cycle?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's if I did, that's what I'm falling into.
Yep.
Right? The whole what I need to do and getting that and I don't hey, you know what? I get it. Some people that's the only option they feel they have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And maybe it was because my daughter. The daughter I still have, the stepchildren, I've been a part of their lives for almost 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
My grandchildren, being there for them, like that decision, even that I make, ultimately affects all them again. So what does that look like? We lost my daughter, right? My grandson lost his mother.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed with us for about a year after her murder. He lived with us, right? What does that do to him now that his papa's gone?
Yeah.
Right? So I want people to just to there's a lot of things you can take away from it. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, you take away what you took away, what
Mm-hmm.
Cam's going to take away, what he does.
Mm-hmm.
For Cam, obviously it's different. He was there with me and lived that nightmare with me every day.
Mm-hmm. It had to be hard for you to watch your friend go through that.
Yeah, I didn't. So at the time, I didn't have kids.
Right.
Got it.
So I was in a different space where if he was willing to go that route, I wasn't necessarily going to be like, no, let's talk it out. I was more going to say, I got a ski mask
Right.
and I got another car we could burn afterwards.
That part, yeah.
But just understanding, also just thinking about his daughter as well. Knowing that she needed him,
Mm-hmm.
after a while, I had to look at it as, will I be a good friend and indulge his worst behavior? Or am I going to be a good friend and let him stay home? Because I understood the dynamic he was in, and I understood the importance he held within his family now, being back home and being able to be rooted in that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't let him go out like that. He just got back with his girls. To lose her sister, which was like her best friend, then to turn around to lose him at that same time would have definitely possibly crushed her and put her in a different position and perspective mind space. So like he said, that trickle down effect to everyone else had to stay in mind.
Yeah, I mean, the selfish decision would have been just do it. That's it.
Yeah.
Do it. Done. Over. No trial. We ain't got to worry about none of that.
Right.
Court was held in the streets.
Yeah.
He was found guilty.
If I would have got caught, I would have got caught. If I would have got away, I would have got away. I'm sure either way, I would have been arrested and investigated. Right. That also weighed heavily on my mind. Like, what does this do for my family? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, they wrote it out with me for 15 years. My little sister brought my girls to see me at least once a year for a weekend, multiple visits over the weekend. She sacrificed. My parents sacrificed. My brother Nick sacrificed by bringing my kids and just coming to see me, just being there for me, giving me a place to live when I came home. Again, I upended everybody's life when I walked back after 15 years like, hey, here I am. They were little kids when I left, my siblings. And here they are, full-grown adults and living their lives, and here I am. I'm back. So, yeah, I mean, I just want people to take away multiple things, right? But the main thing is really it's about choosing yourself and what's best for your family. Hardest decision of my life. Do I regret it? No. Because I'm here and I'm making memories with my child and her 2 children now, right? Now, at that time, she didn't have kids.
Okay.
Right? My baby girl.
Mm-hmm.
Now she has 2, 4, and 3, right?
It's amazing.
You know, I'm Papa all over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have 5 grandkids that call me Papa. Well, 4. The 5th one ain't saying it yet, but she'll get there. Right? I wouldn't have had all of this for the last 6 years. I wouldn't have been able to enjoy all that life has given me, all the blessings.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it hardest thing, but no, I don't regret it. Just ain't ready for that conversation yet. I don't know if I ever will be, honestly. You know, I don't know. It would take that person really like doing some things to make me want to sit down. Mm-hmm. Right? I ain't gonna close the door on it, but it certainly ain't open yet.
Got it.
I just ain't there. I believe in it. I thoroughly believe in restorative justice practices as much as I do Second Chance Month, because without those chances, I wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. Without those practices that I've practiced in the past, I wouldn't be who I am today. Mm-hmm. But I also understand that that's a process. And that process, you know, sometimes takes time.
Yeah.
And so for me, it just isn't, there isn't enough time yet. But I encourage folks to at least explore that option that are survivors like myself and my family. You know, and also, even though it is Second Chance Month, I want to lift up mental health during Second Chance Month. A lot of us needed second chances because of mental health issues too, right? It wasn't always just people aren't good people. You know, sometimes they made those poor decisions and need that second chance because, you know, maybe they weren't in the best mental health space, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, those are the important things I hope people take away from today. Appreciate y'all.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you once again, Rick. Come and sit down with us. Charles, thank you come host with me. I appreciate everybody listening. This is Cam. Once again, this is the Siege Change Podcast brought to you by Nation Outside.